Welcome to the BitCoin Roadshow. I'm literally walking on a road. And you might be asking yourself, what's happening to gold and what's happening to Bitcoin? Why is everything going down? Now, if you look at a video that I did around 1.5 years ago, if you just look for Wyoming, BitCoin Roadshow Wyoming, Jackson Hole I think it was, I was in at the time, and I mentioned what was happening, what would be happening at the end of the currency's lifespan. Either US currency as being the dominant world currency, or all fiat currencies. So what I was saying, and I've said in quite a number of videos over the years, is that when the people who have the lion's share of money, the capitalists, not capitalists really, the crony capitalists who utilize the fake monetary system to basically dislodge all the capital from everyone else's hands to fit in their own grubby hands. People who are not really workers, they're not really true capitalists. They're kind of fake capitalists. They're effectively corporate socialists, crony capitalists, that kind of thing, right? Anyway, what those people will do at the end of times, at the end of the time of the monetary paradigm, when it comes to an end, is they will deflate, they will further deflate, because silver and gold are already deflated, they will further deflate the value of silver and gold and Bitcoin, which is digital gold. And why would they do that? Well, they would do that so they can buy a shit ton more, because when you make big deals, as I've also mentioned many times, big players do not buy on exchanges. They trade on exchanges. They effectively use their funding to rinse traders on exchanges, but they don't buy on exchanges. They buy in OTC desks, right? And these are, for example, if the price plummets down to 3,500 right now, or 3,000, they will not go to an exchange and buy $20 million worth of Bitcoin, because that would pump the price up. They go into OTC and say, right, the price is that, we want to do a deal for that price. We want to buy $20 million worth of Bitcoin, or $200 million worth of Bitcoin, doesn't really matter what. They want to deflate the price. This isn't what's going on right now. To me, doesn't look like just like miner wars. It might be a little bit of miner manipulation to flush weaker miners out of the market so that the difficulty rate reduces, but it is more likely than not a mixture of that and market manipulation, so that these players who are currently taking the money out of the stock market and out of gold and silver, dumping everything on the market, they're trying to bring the prices down. And believe me, they won't be going back into stocks. They might be going into bonds, but they won't be going back into stocks. Then they won't be going back into derivatives and stuff like that. They'll be going into silver, gold, and Bitcoin. And that's exactly why what is happening now. Hey, Drago. So basically, keep an eye on it. Try to take part in it if you can. Don't get too greedy and try wait for the price to get too low and miss out, because if that happens and it starts sailing up again, you'll be kicking yourself that you held on for an extra few $100. I would say that any time now, even at the 5.5 grand level, is a time to actually start dollar cost averaging and start buying in a little bit. Maybe 10% at a time, maybe even 20% at a time, and just say, right, if it goes down 100, if it goes down, make a plan. If it goes down another, let's say another 500, or if it goes down 1,000, then I'll go put in 40% more. If it goes down 2,000, I'll put in the whole lot. Make your plan, be clear with it, because I'll tell you what will happen if you don't. As it moves down, your idea of what's a good deal will change. I'm kind of coaching a couple of people at the moment who, one who kind of deserves my help, one who kind of doesn't. But anyway, I won't get into that. On how to kind of handle this, not be too emotional, not be too greedy. I don't like helping greedy people, because I don't like people who are in crypto for the monetary gain, because they're not even thinking about crypto. All they're thinking about, if it was up to them, the old money system would last forever. I'm in crypto because I don't want the old money system to continue, because it's corrupt. It's what causes all the wars, because they can create all the war they want with money they don't have. And it allows the scummiest in society to prosper. Now, you might think the same is true for Bitcoin. Now, and to a degree it is. What can happen is, because, you know, there's an old adage that, you know, if you take all the money and distribute it evenly throughout the world, that within about 10 years the money would end up in the same hands. That's kind of true. But there's one difference. It's that right now that money ends up in those hands, and they can print as much as they want out of thin air and give to their friends. I can't remember, there's a terminology for it, those closest to the money supply. You know, it settles like honey. The honey drips down. Those closest to the honey, they get the highest amount, and then it kind of levels out further down, you know, thick honey. That's how the money distribution works. But also it's a never-ending tap of honey. Whereas if you had Bitcoin, it's finite. If you can't just you might be able to segment it, but you can't segment it in the way that it's segmented now. For example, if I have 1 million Bitcoin, and in my, let's say I'm the custodian of Bitcoin for my country, right? And I have, let's say 100 Bitcoin is all I have, right? And I'm trying to share that 100 Bitcoin through my country. Now, what the banking system would do is, when it needs more money, it would add a zero at the end of it, right? It would just, out of thin air. It wouldn't give anyone else any more money. It would just add a zero to its own supply. So when it gets down to 10, it would have 100 again, right? You can see the obvious problem there is because what it's actually doing is, I don't need to rob you if I can devalue what you have without changing what I have in my hand. And that is what quantitative easing is. Bitcoin stops that ability, because you, like gold did too, you only had the gold what you had. And the weakness of gold was its inability, well, its fungibility was one. Not being able to segment it up into a few cents here and there because it's too valuable. You could say that silver and gold together could solve that problem. Then you still get the transport issue. I know, I've been through this. I've been all around the world with gold and silver. It's a pain in the ass. I actually really wish I had maybe only bought probably a third of what I have, and years ago put it into gold. But I remember thinking back in 2013, actually, when I was working for a company in London, I was going through a phase of buying quite a lot of gold. And at that time, if my memory serves me well, Bitcoin had a rally, and I think gold was on about 800 bucks, 800 pounds, sorry, not dollars. And you could buy about 4 Bitcoins per gold. And even then, I was still thinking, oh, could I really part with the one gold coin for 4 Bitcoin, you know? And, you know, that's just crazy to think about that today, because obviously you wouldn't even think about it nowadays. But it just shows you how the perception of value has actually cottoned on to a lot of people. It is one of those things where the penny drops as far as the understanding of crypto value. So when I get asked stupid questions, like I got dumbest stupid questions like yesterday, so do you think it's going to go to zero? I can't believe people still ask me that retarded question. Damn it. Anyway, they do ask that question, and you'd be surprised at the level of people that ask that question. It's embarrassing. My face goes red for them, right? I said to this guy this morning, I said, you know what? It's like, and this guy's not, he's not a poor person. He's actually, yeah, I don't want to get into it. Anyway, I said to him, I said, you know, when you say things like that, you really are shit in the bed. It's like saying you still believe it's in Santa at your age of 50 years old. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Don't be never say something so fucking stupid in front of me again. Anyway, hopefully he stops. I sent him a bunch of mining videos to show him, look, here's just an example of the infrastructure smart people are spending. Oh, here we go. The joys of living in a small village. It's quite nice though, isn't it? I like my wee town. Storks come here. Anyway, I sent him all these mining videos to show him, here's an example of the hundreds of millions of dollars, the billions upon billions that are being spent in the background, just in one facet of the Bitcoin economy, and that is mining. So when you look at these videos and you understand what's been built in Texas right now, what's been built in, what has been built all over the USA so far, what's been built all over the Czech Republic and Russia, you know, even places like bloody Mongolia and everything have mining farms. It's crazy. And obviously all over China as well. When you see the sheer scale of infrastructure there is all over the world to mine Bitcoin, you would never ask such a moronic question as, do you think it's going to zero? When people much smarter than you have invested billions, and their advisors have invested billions. This is new money. This is not old money. Old money got money easily because it inherited it. New money is usually brains. Occasionally luck, but usually brains. So when you see bankers, because this person in question, his buddies are mostly the banker type, and they just can't see it. When I was speaking to one of these other investors a couple of years ago, this guy's he's worth tens of millions, and he's retired obviously years ago. They're all financial sector guys, and you know, this idiot tries to explain to them stuff and they don't get it because he doesn't understand it. So that's the problem in this world as well. You get people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about trying to explain things. And this is why this morning, for example, I was watching an interview with Ivan on Tech and also Richard Hart, who I thought had a fairly good idea a while ago. To be honest with you, when I heard the mt.gox wallets, you know, basically as a fork that was going to take was going to filter out the mt.gox wallets and other whale wallets, I thought, that's quite a good idea. But that's where it ends. The guy's a scammer. He's making people put his money. He's making people put his money into all sorts of into a staking wallet, which basically he holds on to. So that's the future suckers. No matter what happens, if the thing goes tits up, he gets all their ETH. He gets all their ETH, and if it goes well, then he'll allow them a piece of the pie. But basically, it's unlikely it'll do well. Never trust someone who says they got into crypto for the money, because everyone I've ever met who says that, they're always scumbags. I'm trying to think of, there might be some exceptions, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is fundamentally, if someone is a scammer, they're not the person who truthfully, honestly got into it because of the technology or the fact that they detest the banking system and they wanted to support something that was a change, right? That's why I got into it. But everyone who says they got into it for money, they might not be a scammer, but if they are a scammer, that's the camp they belong to. And Richard Hart is in that camp. So these people will do anything for money. Put it this way, when he shows a video on his website showing how to use, oh, look at this wallet here, oh, this one's got nothing in it, how about use this wallet instead? He's flexing now. 40 Bitcoin? Are you serious? I mean, I know it's a lot of money, but for people who've been in Bitcoin since near the beginning, that's not a lot of Bitcoin, right? That's kind of pathetic for someone who is, you know, who pretends to be the billionaire that he pretends to be, right? I think he's full of shit. I think all he's trying to do is think, well, look, I know I'm a pretty good scammer. He's scammed before. That's pretty much where he comes from. Some people, if they're not that intelligent, they might be fairly smart. I'm not saying he's dumb. I'm saying he's fairly intelligent. He's not intelligent, though. He's a guy who's kind of like he's probably a former beta male, or probably more likely a loner. So he's probably some kind of gamma delta male, right? Who's spent a long time alone, learning game theory, watching videos like, you know, your, what's it called? Your real social dynamics and those sort of things, all the game theory videos, right? He's been watching that a lot. He even mentions them in his videos. And he shows things like pearls of wisdom as if he's some kind of Yoda. You know, therefore he's yearning attention, he's yearning recognition for intellect that is borrowed, that is, you know, it's actually from other people. So he doesn't actually have, like most people who don't really create as such, anything but traps and snares. But I'm talking about real creation. It doesn't really have anything to offer. He's good at arguing. He's a narcissistic asshole, so all he seems to do is down people all the time. So you notice with Ivan this morning, he basically said, oh, that's the pussy's explanation. It's like, you know, it's when someone can't, when someone has to be so, it's not even passive aggressive, it's passive hyper aggression. It's insane. It's actually passive sociopathy. That's what I've got to call it. It's because it's on a next scale. It's on a whole next level of being an insulting fucking turd. So it's the sort of insult where if someone says that to you face to face, you would have grounds for dicking them. You know. I'll give you another example. A while ago, he did a video with a chick in a bikini, kind of average. You know what I mean? If you're out there pimping it and you know, put it this way, I've pulled better chicks from clubs. And I'm pretty sure he paid for her, or basically lured her in saying, hey, I've got a big YouTube channel, you could get your Instagram up if you come. I could just imagine this is the sort of thing that simps say, right? So I think he's a very different guy than he makes out to be. And the currency, well, put it this way, they put work into it. Some of the programmers, they say he hasn't got the programming skills that he thinks he, I know someone else like that, hasn't got the programming skills that he pretends to have. So he's basically taking the last little bit of his money. He's hired a team to do this coin. It started off with a fairly good idea, then it's become something overly complex. I asked him a while ago why he went into doing it on Telegram, why he want to put it on, instead of doing a fork, why he was putting it in the Ethereum blockchain. And he said it's because it had more hash power. And yet today there he is arguing about the fact that hash power means nothing and blah blah blah. It does mean a lot. He was also talking about the a rollback on the Bitcoin chain. He was actually referring to the it was someone from Bitcoin Cash who called it out, because it would have been a flaw on their chain as well. And obviously they are going to be holders of Bitcoin too. Don't let them fool you. So basically, in a nutshell, these people have all got agendas, especially anyone who's made anything but Bitcoin. Because if your coin has not solved, I mean, even Bitcoin Cash, it does aim to solve a problem. It aims to give faster Bitcoin. The problem is, faster Bitcoin already existed in Litecoin at the time. So I understand bringing out new coins, but if you're bringing out something that doesn't replace anything on the market, you're not releasing anything new. And that's why I don't like Bitcoin Cash. That's why I don't like Bitcoin BSV. And yeah, and a whole raft of other coins. I don't like many tokens, because if they're not mineable, this is another thing that Richard Hart said. He spoke about the mining argument. I'm sick of that argument. It's so dumb. It makes perfect sense. This argument about digital gold being like gold. Well, gold is mined. It costs money to create. It's to a degree finite, where Bitcoin is finite, right? That's the whole argument for it. It takes money and effort to create. Anyone can create it anywhere with money and effort, you know. Whereas Ripple, not the same. No, you've literally got to buy that off the people who got it for free, who just printed it. And in the case of his currency, you could theoretically get it through forking, but I tried that with a couple of different Bitcoin addresses which had Bitcoin in it at the time, and they didn't. I wasn't able to. Okay, they were SegWit addresses, but apparently they were in a range that should have worked, and they didn't. So not to say that's a scam, just to say they didn't get the tech working. But am I going to rush out there and buy some now and become part of this exercise? No, I'm not, because when I see that he's got a wallet, and how that wallet hops around in the different places, including basically his pocket, and then ETH gets dumped here and there, and then he's really shady on about who owns it, and also is that same arrogant defensiveness when anyone questions anything he does. Now this is the telltale sign of a narcissistic fucking asshole, and that's what he is. He doesn't believe he has to answer to anyone. He is obsessed with money and thinks that he's only in this game for money, so therefore he doesn't care about you. He's trying to say that he cares about people who haven't yet made money instead of the people who already have. No, that's bullshit. I'll tell you what it is. The people who've already made money, like me, who've been in it for years, we know what the scams are. We know scumbags when we see them. We know. Look, I put it this way. I gave that a chance. I looked at it. I even gave him a chance. And it's just like, no, it's all added up now. And I haven't been wrong in the past. Although I've given him a lot more leeway than what I'd give anyone else usually. And no, he's still a scammer. So whether it works out or not, the intention was, this is the thing you need to understand. Scams can sometimes work out. But it's very rarely the people who make those scams, they just can't help themselves. They always try to screw people over. So for example, let's say it did really, really well, the price went up. People like him would dump everything they have and then buy it back again, start rinsing, basically pumping and dumping their own coin if it did work. So no matter how it works out, you can't trust it. That's all I would say on that one. So I would say stay away from Hex unless you get it for free and then just sit on it. And then, you know, sell it and get more Bitcoin, just like any other fork. I mean, I have kept some of the other forks, don't get me wrong, but I've got rid of, let's say, 90% of the forked currencies that I've had, because I just don't. I'm not going to buy any more of them. I use them to get more Bitcoin. That's it. Or actually, okay, another thing. So I don't actually use things to get more Bitcoin. I actually use them to get more projects that I want to be part of. So things like Chainlink, AGI, what's it called? Singularity. There's a whole bunch more. Dash, Monero, Digibyte. Projects that I think are worth their weight. I want to put more money into it. So I may get a little bit more Bitcoin, but my goal really is, years ago I bought what I think I would require when the time came that Bitcoin was global currency, and I don't feel a need to have much more than that because I think it's being greedy. But I do think it's good to invest in other projects. So if I slave away, spending hours looking at a video screen and make more finance 2.0 money, cryptocurrency, I think you kind of owe it to the space, unless you're a selfish asshole who's just in it for the money. You kind of owe it to the space to help other projects develop, because there's so many good ideas out there, and this is the new economy. And I'm going to leave it at that. Yeah, I think that's about it. See ya. Oh yeah, let me make sure I got everything out there, what I was saying at the start. Yes, they're flushing assets that are worth things, silver, gold, probably even the property market will get flushed as well. It will probably take longer to rebound than others, especially if the coronavirus really takes off. The various different strains of this bioweapon are, there are different strains in different places. So it's the one in Iran and China seems to be, Iran and Italy seems to be the strongest strain of the bioweapon. And the slightly weaker version is the one in China, and the weakest is the one they have in the UK and America, I think, at the moment. Although America has all of them in labs, the one that's spreading around the public, or the couple that are spreading around the public, don't seem to be the strong ones. So we'll see as time goes on, but if they lock down the borders, they'll be able to contain these various different strains, but people might have already got out. So the people who released this, who I really believe are part of the allied countries, England, America, Australia, Canada, America, I've already said that, yeah. I've already seen a video about this in the Red Pill Diaries. Go check it out. Check the links on there. These are more credible, and these people are doing more study, more research than the people are on network news channels. So that's why they're worth watching. All right. It's my yesterday video on Red Pill Diaries. All right. I'll see you. Bye.